Welcome back, folks. It's Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Time for another edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Come join Reverend Jeff for a look into some very creepy Bigfoot calls all the way from Florida. Does the skunk ape sound the same as a Bigfoot? Find out tonight. Along with a brand new Quasi Theory and a new edition of Camping Tips for Stupids. It is bound to be a fun night, folks. And here's the host, with the hippest beard in the business, the Reverend Jeff Kelly.
Well, thank you there, Reno. Thank you, Mr. Reno Wilmus III. Wasn't that guy's name? I'm not really sure. That's right. Here we are. The Squatchers Lounge podcast is back in action, and the beard is glorious as ever. Thank you. Yeah, we're talking about some Florida Bigfoot vocals that I dug out today. Now, I did a whole lot of searching in Bigfoot in Florida, and in these exact kind of areas that these people were in. I spent many a night in places I wasn't supposed to. So we'll talk about some of that in just a little bit. But first up, let's talk about some news, because there is some news on the horizon. Let me see if it's going to allow me to bring it up here. Sure enough, dude, do weird ass things come around after storms or what? Here's this fanged eyeless sea creature now that they're finally getting a hold of what this thing was. It was not a mystery alien. It is some kind of a deep ocean thing like the oarfish. It's related to the oarfish. It's called a tusky eel or a fang-toothed snake eel. So the findings is in. It's not a sea monster. It is a tusky eel, no longer a mystery alien to us. So congratulations to DNA. You come through once again. All right, on to Bigfoot stuff. Apparently Bigfoot Discovery Days 5 is coming up April 21st with Dr. Jeff Meltram, world-renowned Bigfoot researcher from Idaho, who will take money from anybody to do anything. I'm sorry, I got no respect for the guy anymore. I did. I used to have a lot of respect for this man. I really looked up to him, but unfortunately through the years, they say never meet your heroes. Anyhow, yeah, this is coming up in Michigan, West Branch, Michigan, 48611 is on West State Road 2490, I guess. So if you want to check out more information about that, there's some other people that'll be there. I'm sure Ron Moorhead will be there with his super califragilisticexpialidocious Bigfoot book and superlative speeches. Yes, the Sierra sounds. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Moving right along here, North Carolina group claims that they have evidence that Bigfoot exists. Look at that yummy picture. I mean, if that picture wasn't perfectly yummy, I'd have a problem with it. Apparently, a picture was found in the mud March of 2016 after a sighting. Spruce Pine, North Kakalaka. A group in North Carolina is claiming they have evidence that Bigfoot exists. They claim that evidence of Bigfoot, including footprints, bent branches. Please tell me there's more. No, footprints and bent branches. Although they are talking about Pender County and the Uwharrie Forest around Lake Hickory. So, I mean, there's, the sun's got to shine on the dog's ass sometimes. Our good friend Julie Wrench is out there living near the Uwharrie Forest, and she's got some land out there. She swears that certain times of the year she can just hear and hooping and hollering and having just a grand old time out there. So, you can check this one out on Fox Carolina. They've got that going on for them. Allegedly, Bigfoot was spotted here in Northern California. Legendary Bigfoot and other creatures like it have been spotted near Northern California, like according to paranormal investigator Jeffrey Gonzalez. A self-described paranormal expert said he heard about the sighting from a local farmer who said he saw the creature and 5 others running on his ranch near Avocado Lake. One of them, which was extremely tall, had a pig over its shoulder. Dum, dum, Well, Sam Squat's got to eat too, right? Cows is people food, and Bigfoot knows that, says Matt Moneymaker. And the 5 scattered, and the one with the pig was running so fast it didn't even see the irrigation pipe, and it tripped with the pig flying over. So apparently, according to Jeffrey Gonzalez and this witness, pigs on this guy's farm do indeed fly. See, I knew it was going to happen. We'd find Bigfoot when pigs can fly. Well, there you go, folks. Start looking for them. We're going to find them this year. Grand Lake News, thanks to the great Dean Cooper and his Google search setup filter. A former Missouri deputy now uses his skills he honed when he was solving criminal cases to investigate claims of mysterious Bigfoot creature sightings in Delaware County. Larry Newman was just one of the speakers at the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization meeting on Saturday, March 17th in Jay. Approximately 30 people were present for the 4-hour meeting. There have been several reports of Bigfoot sightings over the entire county, including in Grove and by the Pensacola Dam, Newman said. He claimed Bigfoot inhabits areas where there is good food, clean water, and good terrain, just like the Pilgrims. Sorry, we have people that make up stuff, Newman said, reported Bigfoot sightings, but we know the difference. He said, we've had a couple of sightings in southern Delaware County within the last 2 weeks. The problem, he said, is when members of the Bigfoot researchers group interview witnesses, they are often told that 25 other people have seen the same thing, but are embarrassed to talk about it. Yeah, okay. Whatever. You can find this one on GrandLakesNews.com. Now, this was posted in the lounge. Anybody who's a member of the Squatchers Lounge, Facebook.com/groups/S-Lounge. That's where you'll find us to hang out, ask questions, post articles, read articles. A lot of people come there with their morning coffee just to see what's going on. And Steve Coles, we're a fan of Steve Coles for the most part. He does excellent investigation work. He does excellent field research as well. And this particular article is about the Ron Moorhead Sierra Sounds. Now it is a great big long read here, and I'm not going to go through it. Go out to squatchdetective.wordpress.com and check it out. Sasquatch Talk, What is Language? Or check the link in the Squatchers Lounge. They get into talking about linguist Scott Nielsen, who wholeheartedly believes that the Sierra Sounds are some kind of a pre-existing or ancient Native American language, but yet has no way to be able to prove it. He calls himself a Navy crypto linguist, but there is no such thing in the Navy. By the time you get to the end of the article, Steve kind of explains why it is that he feels that these recordings may be genuine. However, when you go through it, I posted a simple question with a follow-up. Was in all the time since Ron has gotten these recordings, why has no one else in the history of all Bigfoot recordings ever recorded anything like it? And if the conditions that both Al Berry and Ron Moorhead put forth are genuine, then the equipment of the day that they carried onto the site isn't even capable of catching such clear sounds. We can't do it today. And all I got was a response was, well, those are good questions. Well, I think they're good questions that kind of blow the theory that it's legitimate out of the water. If the conditions aren't true, then they're lying to us about the conditions. If the story of the equipment isn't true, then they're lying to us of what equipment that they took up there. But we also have to realize that this is early 1970s reel-to-reel recording equipment. And anybody who's ever owned a reel-to-reel will tell you those things suck to keep working properly and record anything. To take them out into the field, you nearly need to be a reel-to-reel machine tech to keep it recording and balanced in the field to be able to get decent audio. But yet somehow they trucked it up there with a couple of mules and a couple of horses and threw a microphone 60 feet up over up over a branch somewhere, and we're peaking out the mic levels with no background noise. I don't know. So I'll digress on this one again tonight. You people know what my feelings about that. Scott Nelson has no one in the world that'll back him up. Just like Melba Ketchum says that she has 3 Sasquatch genomes and it's proven, and we don't need to look for Sasquatch anymore because I proved that Sasquatch exists. I even bought my own journal so you people could read the fact that Sasquatch exists. But yet she has no one that'll back her up on her crazy story. Scott Nelson's exactly the same way. He's made a whole bunch of incredible claims with no incredible evidence. How do you back that up? I don't know. But go get me some more. Go get me some more recordings like that. And I'll say, well, okay. Go out in the known Bigfoot areas and collect evidence that sounds like what they recorded. Anyone, not even just them, anyone. And I'll listen to it, and we'll peer review it, and we'll see what the genuineness of the situation actually is. And that's very important, is that peer review. I'm a realist. We base everything in science here. Just the fact that Bigfoot exists is paranormal enough for me. But he's not special. He's not a special primate. Well, he's special to a degree. He's the last Paranthropus. We're the last sapien. He's the last Paranthropus. If you don't know what a Paranthropus is, email me, message me, or look it up on Wikipedia because you really need an education. Anyhow, the speeches, the speech patterns that are in those recordings are so far-fetched in my mind that I need something repeated. Somebody needs to capture something like it so that we can compare them. And once we can compare them, we can peer review them. And that peer review step is absolutely necessary. People are like, oh, real evidence isn't going to get released on social media. And they're right. It shouldn't be. It should be peer reviewed by people like myself and other people who have spent painstaking hours, hundreds, if not thousands of hours, just sitting here listening to just to hear the slightest amount of anything that we might be able to pull out of the background to actually make, some type of a representation towards. So, saying all of that, woohoo! That's the news, folks, and that's the rant for today. Eldorado Bigfoot Watch is coming up. The Expedition Stumpy. We're almost there. I will have a campground number as soon as I go out to the site. So we're going out to the site next week. Or the week after. I'm not quite sure. I think it's next week. They haven't lifted the motor ban, and the campsite doesn't actually even open until May 10th. So technically, I'm not even supposed to be out there until May 10th, but the road restrictions have been lifted, and I can actually go out and tour the place and make some determinations. So for those of you that are coming to the camp out and have been asking me about which site we're going to be in there at Black Oak Camp in Georgetown, California on the 18th and 19th and the 20th, there is no cost to this camping event, people. It's absolutely free except for your arrival and survival. That's it. Whatever it costs for you to get there and survive for the weekend, and you are good. And we are getting a 50-person campground. So we have absolutely tons of space left over. We have double what we were expecting. So we have a 50-person site, and it's $1 a person extra. So if we get past 50, it isn't going to matter for that either. Water, dump crappers, bigfooting, freshwater fishing, like they say, is unbelievable. It's like an untapped resource. Like nobody ever goes there. So that's where we are at now. We're going to go and hit ourselves with a Quasi Theory from our quasi scientist, Mr. Dean Cooper. I did overshoot the camping tips for stupids. We don't have one for this week, but I believe Jevin said that he'll get back at us next week. So let's take a listen to this week's Quasi Theory. And now, Quasi Theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
Barlam and Josephat. When I went to write this, I had two obvious choices to pick from, based on today being between two holy days, to wit, St. Patrick's Day and Easter Sunday. I crossed off St. Patty because, unlike many early Catholic saints, he apparently actually did exist. He was not the first Christian missionary to preach to Irish pagans, and he's not even a real saint. He has never been officially declared one by any authoritative body outside of a pub. Besides which, the thingy about him chasing the snakes out of Ireland, which is to say he drove out the Celtic pagan priests, the Druids by name, is objectionable to me as a pagan.
Exactly.
Easter got crossed off because I've done it twice already. Once as Easter, and once as X marks the spot. So let's get on to the Christian martyred saints, Barlaam and Josaphat. Firstly, again, as with many early Catholic martyred saints, they never existed. But nonetheless, their story was quite popular in the Middle Ages. The story first showed up in Christian circles in the 10th century when Euthymus of Athos, a Georgian monk, translated the Georgian story, the Balavariani, from Georgian into Greek. Not the state Georgia, treasonously named after King George, but the country notably not named treasonously after King George. I'm not going to tell you the story itself, which says that the two lads were Christian Indians, not woo-woo Indians, who got themselves martyred way back not long after St. Thomas evangelized in India. That's St. Thomas the Apostle, not the Virgin Island. Nobody really knows who evangelized in India because St. Thomas is known to have never existed, while St. Thomas the Island certainly does. You can see it on Google Earth, but be that as it may. The fun part about these two non-existent martyrs is that their story is actually derived from that of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Again, I am not going to tell their story. Go look it up. It is obviously a retelling of the life of Gautama Buddha, except for the martyrdom part. Josaphat in Georgian was Yodasaf, which came from the Arabic Buddhasaf, which came from the old Persian Bodhisattva, which came from the Sanskrit Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva was one of the titles of Gautama Buddha. Nobody seems to know why the unknown Georgian who wrote the Balavariani saw fit to plot Barlaam, the other martyred Christian, into the story he stole from the Buddhists. But then Christians always seem to bugger up everything they stole from the pagans. You may read the text of this on my blog at bydean.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
There you have it, folks. Quasi theories from a quasi scientist. All right, time for a little bit of shout out love. Let's see who is hanging with us live in the tent tonight. Now, don't mind the big hairy squatches. They're going to come in with the donation plates. You just pass them on around amongst yourselves. Remember, the more you seed to the Sasquatch, the more the Sasquatch will reveal himself to you. Kidding, of course. Please don't do that. Ken, my man, hanging out. First time tonight. How you doing, brother? Cheryl Wellen, it was a big empty room, but you helped us fill it. How you doing? James the Grower, you know how it's growing, brother. There's Mr. Shane Barber. How you doing there, Chief? Glad you were there. Timothy McCune, yes, now I have your I have your audio, and it's a minute and something long, and we're going to play it right after the shout-outs tonight. So we'll let people hear what you've been talking about. Scary screams at night. All right. Let's see who else is in the house tonight. I got Jeremy Harrison. How you doing, sir? There she is, Miss Oreo Cream Rocks. How you doing there, Leanne? Glad you could join us. Rod Dupree, always in the place to be. Can't wait to see you, man. May is 6 weeks away. Yeah, that's 7. That's 6. Yeah, 6 weeks away to a pothead. It doesn't matter. It's 6 weeks away. Yeah. So we will see you soon, man. We've been looking forward to that for a long time. Miss Natalie Smith, how you doing? Hope you are feeling well. Oh, it's so good to see you back. Forrest Cop, man. Hey, how you doing, brother? Dude, I can tell you what happened with that whole wrap up with that Justin Smeha story if you are interested. It's kind of funny how that all turned out. Lance Windsor, how you doing, pal? Glad you're in the house. Mr. Don Rife, how you doing, Chief? We're looking to come up there for at least one of those Renaissance fairs, man. Me and the old lady been talking about it. We're just trying to figure out which one's going to be better. Maybe the one in April. Not sure yet. Trey Thomas, even into you as well. Glad you are here with us. I see more people in the room than I am saying, but I have to get to the bottom to be able to say hi to them. And now my stupid computer is going to do all kinds of stupid things. Red Rat, how you doing, Chief? Wayne on MILF. Well, Wayne on MILF. Karen Robb, she's in the house. Brown Dwarf, how you doing, man? Michael Bird, Sam Squares Rivera. I'm glad you are here, sir. Sarah Vott, Chris Wright, Mr. Fang, treat. That's right. I'm sure Christopher is out there eating vegetables. It's fine if you mix it with ketchup and cheese. We don't mind. Keith Harden, hello to you as well. Cody Johnaway, I see you. John Leland, Jonathan Doty, hey man, glad you could join us. I hope you're feeling well. I see Bobby and Junie and Petey and Mel and all right, let's see. I'm getting back up to where I was in the middle here. Keith Harden, if I didn't say hi, I certainly sure have now. It looks like I am just repeating over the people. So if I haven't said hi to you yet, definitely say hi to me down below, and I will make sure that I didn't miss you before it is all over. I'll give y'all a minute to catch up. Can Squanch, there, I almost missed you. What was that? I don't know, but I'd like to find out with you. Let's go squatching. All right, I think I'm almost safe there. I'm going to bust it down the bottom. All right, so I've got that audio queued up here from Timothy. Let's take a listen to it. I've never listened to it before, so if it's literally somebody having sex, I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll be able to stop it. So here we go. Yeah, that I'm not sure. I mean, I can't say for anything positive for sure, but nighttime, small lungs, short scream, could be a screech owl, probably not, but I've heard fox make calls like that. And then the dog queuing in at the end as kind of a shut the hell up kind of a thing. And I would almost go red fox if you have them in your area. If you don't have red fox in your area, I don't know, man. We can talk a little bit more about that. I'll do some enhancing on that, see if I can't bring it up, and maybe we'll bring it back up on another show. And with that, let me check it over there. Kathy Moss, how you doing? Yeah, it's real soft. I'm sorry about that. We'll do some enhancing on that and see if we can't get it to come back up. I'm not really sure. Artillery Bugs, how you doing there, champ? Glad you are with us as well. Karen Robb, if I didn't say hi, I certainly did now. And I think that might be everybody that I did come through. How you doing there? Chris Wright, if I didn't say hi, now I have. Okay, let's get funky with it, people. We're going to the green swamp of Florida. That's where we're heading, folks. And I got to tell you, what I've got for you tonight is a couple of status quo and some not status quo. So let's take us an eyeball. Why I just minimized that, I don't really know. That didn't make any sense. There we go. Let's take us an eyeball at what we are talking about. This is the green swamp area of Florida. Now, Zephyr Hills is over yonder. Lake Apopka is up here. It's one of the highest overpopulated rats anywhere in the country. And as you can tell, they kind of started making state protected lands before they got too far out of hand, because the colonials had chased the Seminoles all the way down into this area, and the Seminole reservations run across here in the center bands of Central Florida is pretty much where everything stopped, and then everything grew up around it. Now, the Ocala National Forest I've talked about, you can see that 19 runs right down through the middle of it. Alexander Springs, we've talked about Astor Park. We have talked about De Leon Springs. We've even talked about Bigfoot clear up here into Ormond Beach and Daytona Beach. And we're all the way down here now. We're actually down towards the southern end of the state. That's more central, but you're getting down into what we call skunk ape territory, because up here in the Ocala National Forest and up into Georgia, you get the same kind of stories of all the Sasquatch type creatures. But once you get down into the green swamp, you get a little different description of them, to where they're not as tall and they're not as robust and they're not as dark colored. They kind of have an orange color to them and not so much hair on their face. You can really kind of see the features on their face. A little more orangutan like than chimpanzee like. And and when you get in here and look, flip it over to the satellite, as that loads here, you'll be able to see Florida's just a big swamp. And really, before the 1950s, you could have, as an animal, moved anywhere you wanted to across Florida without having too much of a problem with it. Yeah, they made Lake Apopka look oh so attractive in the map section, but that's what that green piece of looks like. God, I can't stand Florida. Spent way too many years there. But down in the green swamp, man, this is pretty much where all the water ran when Disney built up everything in the swamps up there, and there just isn't anything here. There are no homes. There are no people. People go and do recreational things there. It's full of alligators. It's very, very unsafe for humans. And people do go and camp and hunt there. And, this is swampland type of stuff. People get the shooting gun. Let's best we gonna get us a gator. But seriously, this is like the last refuge for anything that might live around in this particular area. So what I've got here out of the green swamp is a call. And what we're going to do is go ahead and give you that call in full, and then the response, and then I've enhanced the response. So take a listen to it as it actually occurred. You'll first hear the investigator screaming, careful, if you've got expensive speakers on, please turn them down, put on some headphones, and adjust your volume accordingly. Thank you. You've been warned. So right after a double whoop, within seconds, there is that siren whale type of response. And I was able to get a real nice cleanup job of that one. Let's take a listen to that. That long, big lunged, deep inhale, long exhale whale right out of the green swamp area. Now, Right behind that, I was able to pick up a second set from a totally different set of researchers. There's actually 2 responses in this one. I'm wrong. There's 1 response in this one. Here it is as it happened. And then there's a second version of that where I was able to clean up just as much of the howl as I could get it. It's about 8 seconds long. That has that deep yell to it that we're used to hearing. That's a little further north than the Green Swamp, and I would definitely put that in up towards that Ocala area, that Bigfoot type of area. But it's strange that the calls out of the Green Swamp are similar, but not exactly the same. Now, the last case that I got for us to take a listen to tonight is it's a little different. It's a dude out with his family in the state park area, in the state preserve area, and what they have out of these swampy areas are just giant boardwalks that go on for miles and miles and miles. They hook up with other boardwalks and go to different parts of the park. Those are some of the places that I've actually hopped off of the boardwalks and gone back, 600 yards away from the boardwalk and set up a hammock camp up on a high spot and sat and listened all night long and heard some of those calls. So the guy decides that he's gonna, he's gonna give it a kick and start doing some Bigfoot calls and see if they can get some responses. Now the first 2 minutes of it is as it happened. It's actually a 6-minute video, but these were the best responses came within the first 2 minutes of the video. The other ones were kind of hard to hear. It's funny how the animals interact with each other, and we'll talk about that as we go along here with this one. But let's take these 2 minutes here and take a listen to these guys.
Okay. Holy crap. Oh, what is that? That's a big woodpecker. Okay, we've been howling and getting responses. If it was people, they would have got it back.
Oh, they're getting tired of your game.
Shh, shut up. You hear that? Unbelievable. It's Bigfoot. 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 Absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera or not. We're definitely getting howls.
Yeah, but every time we do, the woodpecker goes in there.
The woodpecker, yeah. The woodpecker bangs whenever we do it. Let's try a high squeal.
Okay. Now, I did warn you ahead of time. That response howl is so very, very strange to me. Yet it's familiar. It's like I've heard it, but lower, and it's very strange. But I was able to enhance that one. Let's take a listen to that first response call.
Shh, shut up. You hear that? Shh, shut up. You hear that?
I'm not really sure. I can't put my finger on it. I just can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's something that I know that's not Bigfoot or whether it's something that I know that might be Bigfoot, but I've heard that sound before. But the second response was even more strange to it.
Unbelievable. It's Bigfoot. Bigfoot.
I mean, he really is like, he's genuinely excited, but I mean, really, what winds out like that in a response? And it is strange that, like, as soon as the woodpecker starts to peck, that thing goes off after his calls. Now, this was the cleanest cut I could get out of that strange second call. Let's see if we can hear it a little cleaner. I just don't know what calls out like that. I really, really, really don't. So taking a look here at the last looks here in the chat room, and yeah, everybody's kind of the same thing. Not exactly sure what that would be, especially coming out of Florida like that. So it's just one of those cases where he may have stumbled across a skunk ape that was searching for love in all the wrong places, looking for, oh wait, no, that's something else. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are going to stop this edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. That's right. Voices in the Night continues next Wednesday night at 8:45 p.m. Well, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific. I do have another real Bigfoot encounter for you for tonight, so I will leave you guys with that. I am so happy that all of you guys were with me tonight. Come and join us in the after hangout. I will post a link, or find me on Facebook, and I will be glad to send you the link that way. And with that, thanks every one of you for being here. And may the Squatch be with you. Welcome to another episode of Real Bigfoot Encounters with Reverend Jeff. This week's story comes to us from Luna Pier, Michigan. This squirrel hunter got a little more than he bargained for during an early fall hunt. Many sightings happen when you least expect it. This is one of those stories. It was late September 1980, mid-morning on a Saturday with sunny and calm cold weather. Perfect for a squirrel hunt. So off I went, not telling anyone where I was going. I had a number of different spots. I headed for a small woodlot about 10 acres in size, less than a mile from my house. This woodlot's about a third of the mile from the nearest road, surrounded by farmland with a small stream on the south side with several fence rows attached. It had a farmer's lane that went through it. It was a rough L shape with grass and dirt space large enough to drive on. Such woodlots are fairly common and feature of the southwestern Michigan farming landscape. If anything, the woodlot was smaller than most. As I entered the woodlot, I noticed something quite odd. It was a large number of birds making a big racket in the underbrush. Just to the right of the lane, I noticed redwings and robins, jays and cardinals in particular. They were flittering about in the underbrush in somewhat of a frenzied fashion. Many times I'd seen redwings gather in large, noisy flocks, and this time of year it's not unusual, but they gather higher up. This was different and struck me as strange. Continued my way down another 50 yards or so into the woodlot. As I approached a small bend in the lane, it veers about 20 degrees or so to my right. My rifle was still slung over my shoulder, and since the hunting spot was on the other side of the woodlot near the lane, exit on the west side. At the bend in the lane, I was still glancing back at the bird commotion. When I turned my head forward again, I froze in shock and terror. Standing about 25 yards away was a huge furry creature, towering 7 feet into the air and standing just like a man. It was staring seemingly straight through me, and our eyes locked. It stood in the underbrush just off the left side of the trail. I could not see below the waist, but I could see everything else. It could see me from head to toe. We just stared at one another. It was a massive, 3 feet wide at the shoulders, incredibly stocky and strong-looking. Reddish-brown hair was everywhere, shorter on the face, but perhaps 3 to 5 inches long on the head and shoulders. The hair was quite unkempt and mop-like, especially on the top of the head. The head was large, seemingly flat and sloping on top. I could not make out the ears. Eyes were simple black with no whites, and a lying flat nose without many discernible features. There was even some hair there in the middle of the face. The mouth was large with a bit more hair there, giving the appearance of a short mustache. It did not have much of an expression, pretty much straight-lipped. It really seemed almost relaxed. Its arms hung at its side, with the hands in the underbrush. There was no signs of aggression whatsoever. Perhaps that's what kept me from panicking, and neither it nor I moved a muscle. That eerie stare seemed to last forever. My mind raced, desperate to escape. I felt the turning and running might encourage it to chase me, and I knew I could never outpace it. I did not attempt to unsling my rifle, fearing that it might consider such a move aggressive. Also, it was only a single-shot .22, obviously of little use for something of that size. The rifle was chambered but uncocked, and even if the creature charged, I probably wouldn't even have the time to cock it. I did not want to shoot this creature, but would in self-defense. So, barely moving my hand that was at my side, I could reach back to the bolt knob and try to cock the gun while it was still slung over my shoulder. I could move the spring a little, trying several times, but from there, I could just not get enough leverage to pull it all the way back. I will never forget how hopeless I felt at that moment. I had no idea what to do next, and just stood there. Then the creature made its move. Its large, hairy right hand came up and swiped at the red-berried shrub right in front of it. It moved the hand to its mouth and casually chewed. It repeated these motions, glancing down at the shrub, swiping the berries and eating, then glancing back up to me. The arm motion was very fluid and unhuman-like. No jerking motions, very deft flowing movement. The left hand remained at the creature's side, was not picking berries like a person would. It was raking them up. And also, during the entire encounter, I never heard any vocalizations or smelled any odors. Watching it eat, I started to feel better. It was no longer this creature's only concern, so I took this as an invite to leave. I slowly began to walk backwards, and the creature continued to eat and keep an eye on me. I slipped around the bend and lost sight of the creature after just a few feet. I turned around and quickened my pace into a fast walk. Nothing to alert the creature that I was running or in a panic. I continued to look back to the bend in the lane, fearing it might follow me. Soon I was at the woodlot's edge and broke into a full run. Finally, only to run faster. I was 15 years old, and it probably did not take me 2 weeks to clam up about this, for obvious reasons. In the mid-1990s, I told my future wife, and now I'm reporting it to you guys. It just feels like it's time. Anonymous. For this young hunter, a brush with a massive Bigfoot was not on the agenda, and it seems it may have been another real Bigfoot encounter. Thanks for watching. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you.